When did you start to realize that you were changing from being just a paint company to more of a media company and taking on all this in-house and like really owning the fact that you're a media company? When did that shift happen for you?
Well, that was probably an easy shift for me because I think I always was meant to be a media company who had a painting problem.
Nice. Oh, I love
I,
that.
I loved the thought of being able, I joked earlier about my disc profile and how important aesthetics are.
You
I like
did.
things to be pretty and running a business. And when your business is paint, you should be making things pretty. Of course, some of our coatings are more for protection, but you always want to put out there, the great work that you did and that type of thing. I think the videography was such a fun thing. You would see some of these companies and some of the things that they were doing, and I would have these ideas. For us, kind of the big marketing push for us and the big spend was, I remember, my first radio ads. And I remember making that commitment of $500 for the month for these radio ads. And it was such a big move, but, obviously that was kind of the beginning of it. What you could do with video, how you could educate your clients. One of the challenges we always had is how do we explain why we're different? We aren't the cheapest company. So there's reasons we're not the cheapest company. How do I explain that? I mean, that if I stand in front of a customer and I talk to them directly, then I can explain it, of course, but that's not scalable. I can't stand in front of, as we grew and I worked my way out of the sales department. I wasn't there to explain to a company why we were different or why we were worth working with. But picture tells a thousand words. What does video do? What does a blog article do when you're trying to educate someone? So I think the concept was easy for me to embrace. The budget, not so much, right? You're spending money and you're going, okay, now we're going to have video inside. Now we're going to need new equipment. Okay, now we're going to need a booth to record these things. Now
Right.
we're going to need,
Right.
as an owner, of course, you're always looking at, what does this cost? But sometimes you have to shift your mind and say, what value is this going to bring? And again, it is that investment. So embracing being a media company, I think it's fun. No matter what it is that you do, have fun with it. I think we've all, followed things on social medias where some dry, bland organization has some snarky remark on social media, and we all chuckle at it because we're caught off guard by it. Marketing is fun. I can remember, marketing tunes and commercials from when I was a kid. I
Yeah.
love that because it worked.
Yeah.
The other day, my wife said something, and I started singing this song about crispy critters or something, this cereal that lasted like 2 years when I was a kid. But that song stayed in my brain.
Yeah.
And when we made our first radio ads, we had a jingle made up, and we meet people locally and they say, oh, roepaint.com. Don't just repaint, roepaint.com. I hate that song. It gets stuck in my head. And I'm thinking to myself, that's the point. And so have fun with it. Let your personality shine, because I think that's part of attracting your customers. You're also attracting customers that share cultural values with you. Share your love for Boise State football that we're affiliated with here locally. And I
Yes.
think when you get to do that, you get the fun part of the business. So a lot of parts of business, many parts of them can be not so much fun. Have fun running a media company. Have fun with it. I've been able to create commercials with the team here about my dad painting on the side as a Boise firefighter back in the day that have been really fun. I've been able to have my son and my wife in some of the commercials that we've created. But I think becoming a media company, that's just the age that we live in. If you're stuck with the mindset of I can't afford a videographer or I can't afford a content creator, you're not evolving. You're going to be left behind. And we saw that happen very starkly with the website when Google and AI changed something a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and overnight what we had been doing wasn't working. And overnight we were slapped in the face with how are you going to get leads now? So I think it's a great journey to be involved with the media. Enjoy it.